For 4 years, centre court missed one of its own. Now she's back, stepping into the most wide-open Wimbledon in a decade. Let's start with the name everyone is talking about. Serena Williams is coming back to Wimbledon. Not for an exhibition, not just for old times. This Sunday, the tournament confirmed she has accepted a wild card into the ladies' singles draw. It's her first singles match anywhere since the 2022 US Open, almost 4 years ago. Think about what that means. 23 Grand Slam singles titles. 7 of them won right here, on this grass. And at 44 years old, she is walking back onto the most famous court in the sport. She has said this comeback isn't about winning, that she has nothing left to prove, and everything from here is just to gain. Coming from the most decorated singles player of her era, that's a different kind of pressure released. And she isn't arriving alone. Just days earlier, Wimbledon confirmed that Serena and her sister Venus will reunite in the ladies' doubles, also on a wild card. It's their first time playing together at this tournament since 2016. Together the sisters own 14 Grand Slam doubles titles, 6 of them at Wimbledon. The build-up tells the story. Serena returned to doubles at Queen's, only for her partner to pick up an injury, then played again in Berlin. She had said singles was not on the table, not yet. Then, this week, she changed her mind. For Venus, now 45, it's a return to the doubles court beside the sister she's shared an entire career with. Between them, the two have lifted 12 Wimbledon singles trophies and built one of the great partnerships this sport has ever seen. In every sense, this is a reunion. So the headline writes itself, a legend returns. But here's the twist that makes this year different. The Wimbledon Serena is walking back into barely resembles the one she left. And it starts with the men's draw, which just lost its king. Because the two-time defending champion will not defend. Carlos Alcaraz, the man who won here in 2023 and 2024, and pushed to the final again in 2025, has withdrawn. The cause is a right wrist injury, a tendon problem he first felt back in April at the Barcelona Open. It already forced him out of the French Open, where he was also defending champion. Now it takes Wimbledon too, 2 majors gone from the same season. And that's even after he completed the career Grand Slam at the Australian Open in January. Pull one name like that out of a draw, and everything shifts. The clearest beneficiary is Jannik Sinner. He is the defending champion here, he beat Alcaraz in last year's final, and he is the world #1. With his great rival sidelined, Sinner doesn't just enter as a contender, he enters as the overwhelming favorite. It's the clearest path to a title he already owns. To understand how big this absence really is, consider this. Sinner and Alcaraz have split the last 9 men's Grand Slam titles between them, going back to 2024. For 2 straight years, the road to every major has run through one of those 2 names. Now, for the first time in a long while, half of that duopoly is missing, and the rest of the field can suddenly see daylight. But the man most likely to stand in Sinner's way arrives carrying a strange story of his own. Alexander Zverev is the reigning French Open champion, and on paper a genuine threat on any surface. Yet in his final grass tune-up at Halle, he lost again to Taylor Fritz, his 7th straight defeat to the American. Afterward, Zverev revealed why he struggled. He lives with type 1 diabetes, diagnosed at age 4. He said his glucose sensor gave a false reading mid-match, leading him to overinject insulin and force down hundreds of grams of sugar just to stay upright on court. He insists it's a one-off, and no concern heading into Wimbledon. The tennis world split on it. Some saw a champion managing a serious condition under brutal conditions. Others, and this is worth flagging carefully, pushed back, pointing to a pattern of explanations after tough losses. We're not here to judge a man's medical reality, but the noise around Zverev is real, and it follows him onto the grass. And lurking behind both of them, as always, is Novak Djokovic. If the men's side now has a clear favorite, the women's side has the opposite problem. Nobody can agree on one at all. Start with the champion. Iga Swiatek defends the title she won last year. And that win was historic for her. It was the first grasscourt title of her entire career, and her 6th major overall. But history is against a repeat. No woman has won back-to-back Wimbledon since Serena Williams in 2016. A target sits on her back the moment she walks out. Then there's the world #1 who still can't crack this place. Aryna Sabalenka leads the rankings and holds the US Open crown, but Wimbledon is the one major missing from her collection. It's the biggest gap in her resume. She went out in the semifinals last year, and she arrives with that result to avenge. Below them, the field is genuinely wide open. Mira Andreeva, the teenager who just broke through for her first Grand Slam title, brings the most dangerous form of all, youth with nothing to fear. Coco Gauff, a Grand Slam champion still hunting her first Wimbledon, sits right in the mix. And so does Elena Rybakina, a former champion on these very lawns. Amanda Anisimova returns as last year's beaten finalist. And the British hopes are alive. Emma Raducanu reached the Queen's final on grass, the kind of unseeded floater nobody wants in their quarter. While Katie Boulter has already taken down a former Wimbledon champion in the run-up. For past champions sit in this draw, on grass, where the margins are thinnest, that's a recipe for chaos. And this year, the chaos has a new referee. For the first time in its history, Wimbledon is bringing in video review. On the show courts, players will finally be able to challenge certain calls, a small change at the most tradition-bound major in the sport, but a real one. There's a record prize pot too, the largest the tournament has ever offered. And for the first time, Wimbledon is even staging a promotional court in New York Central Park, reaching across the Atlantic for American fans. So where does that leave us? Who actually wins? On the men's side, the math is simple but not settled. With Alcaraz gone, Sinner is the favorite, and it's not particularly close. But grass is the great equalizer. Zverev is a French Open champion on his day, and Djokovic on these lawns is never a safe bet against. A coronation is likely, a guarantee, it is not. On the women's side, we won't pretend to a confidence nobody should have. Sabalenka and Swiatek head the pack, one chasing the major she's never won, the other chasing a piece of history. But if you want a tiebreaker, watch the grass form, not the rankings. The players who arrived at this tournament already winning on the surface tend to be the ones still standing in week 2. On a court this unforgiving, momentum has a way of outweighing reputation. And then there's Serena. Let's be clear-eyed, at 44, for years out of singles, this is not a fairy tale title run, and she'd be the first to tell you so. But that was never the point. The point is that centre court gets her back, on her own terms, one more time, and that her last great doubles partnership, with her sister, gets one more chapter. Some stories aren't about the scoreboard. So here's the question we'll leave you with. When the grass is finally cut and the last ball is struck, who do you want to see lift it? The favourite who can't be caught? The number one who's never tasted it here? Or the legend who came back just to feel it again? Tell us below. Wimbledon starts June 29th and Part 3 lands the moment the draw is set.